All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, what we're going to be, as if you didn't already know, we're going to be talking about today is best practices around two areas. Updating your website, themes and plugins, and the best way to go about that, or at least ways that I have learned over. I guess I've been using WordPress. I've been doing websites for 25 years, but WordPress about 12. What I've learned over those times, and I maintain and work on about 40 something websites, and I have to update them every month. And so I've developed a procedure to do that, to try to keep from having problems. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about working with image sizes and formats. Because, depending on your website, the images on your website can take up a lot of bandwidth and slow your site down, or, make it not rank. Google has, I don't know if you've ever checked out a thing called Page Speed Insights, Google Page Speed Insights. And it's a thing to test how fast your website is. And Google wants your website to be fast. And so you need to have images nice, and you want your images to be nice, but you don't want them to be huge in terms of, bite size, how much band, people will upload images that are like a megabyte. Well, that's ridiculous. But we'll talk about that in more detail. So when as I said, I go through, I have a spreadsheet that I have certain days that I update certain clients' websites, check their sites, they need to update the theme or plugins. And but when I do this, one thing I want to say, put super emphasis on, is whenever you're updating a theme or you're updating a plugin, you then need to run a backup. And there's different ways to do this. So what I do is, if I have to update the theme and the plugin, I'll go about updating the theme first, but before I do any updates, I run a backup. Now I use, as my host is WP Engine. You can find them at wpengine.com. And I've used them now for about 10 years. And that was because I was ignorant and naive when I first started using WordPress, and had hosting with a other provider who was, one of these catch-all kind of places that they hosted WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, HTML websites, all kinds of stuff. And you might call somebody with a problem and they didn't know anything about WordPress. WP Engine is just a WordPress host, and everybody that works there is a WordPress geek. And but there's all kinds of good hosts. One of the things you want to have, whoever your host is, if you can get it, you want to be able to do on-demand backups, as many as you want. In other words, you can do a backup. If I want to do a backup right now, I can do a backup right now and have it be quick and easily retrievable to restore. Some and WP Engine automatically, and many hosts do this, do a daily backup, but on-demand backups are really important. But like I said, I use WP Engine. There are plugins that will do it. I've heard a lot of good things about a plugin called Updraft Plus.
That's what I use.
Okay, so, and you can see it right here. It's in the WordPress repository.
I'm very satisfied with them.
Sorry?
I'm very satisfied with them.
Good. And it's got 3 million plus users, or 3 million, 3 million plus users.
And it works really well too.
Yeah.
Good. That, take this down here, close that. And then there's WP Vivid Backup. This you have to pay for, and it's got a whole lot of other stuff in it. I don't know if y'all watch YouTube Elementor type videos, but there's a popular guy, Paul C from the UK. He has a channel called WP Tuts, and he really likes WP Vivid. So these are options that some people use, but I hear a lot of people have praises for Updraft Plus. So those are some options. But that being said, when you're get back to where I want to be, doing a backup, you want to take when you're updating themes or plugins, you want to do a backup first. So we're going to update the theme and the plugins on this website. And if we go into the dashboard for the site, we have 9 plugins that need to be updated. And we can see what the updates are by going to the dashboard and updates. So we've got the themes down here. And if there were other themes that need to be updated, they'd be in here too. And we have these plugins that need to be updated. And I chose this particular site because they had multiple Elementor related plugins that needed updates, because one of the things I've learned is it helps to do them in a particular order. You wouldn't think that would matter, but sometimes it does. So at first I'm going to run a backup. So I'm in, let me get to the right account. Oh, what am I doing here? There we go. Okay, and this is WP Engine backend. And so this is the dashboard for that particular site. I'm going to go to backups, create a backup. And as you'll see, I do this a lot because it already remembers. And it takes, it depends on the time of day. If I'm working early in the morning, it might only take 20 seconds, and it kind of depends on the size of the site, but sometimes it might take a minute or two. And then I'll get an email that says the backup's complete. So I'll wait on that. So the Updraft Plus that you use, that's free plugin, right? Or do you use a pro version?
It's free.
Okay. Good deal. I think I heard the ding. Nope, that's not it. Let's see here. There we go. It has created the backup before updating theme. Now, Michelle, I think you talked about, I think it was you that talked about the hello theme.
No, I mentioned that
It was
earlier.
John.
Yeah.
Okay. I started using the Astra theme before there was a hello theme, and the Astra is made by the people who is Brainstorm Force. They do ultimate add-ons for Elementor, Schema Pro, and some other stuff. And they have, with this add-on for Astra Pro, it gets some features that I've gotten to where I like, so I've stuck with it. So anyway, we're going to do update theme. And let's see here. Now that the backup's complete, we're going to go and just all you have to do is select the theme and click update. And see, it's telling me you need to do a backup before this. So I said, nope, I already did. So it'll do its thing. and all updates have been completed. And now, depending on your theme, oftentimes there are plugins that are sort of built into the theme. On sites that I built before I started using Elementor, I used the Avada theme, and it has a bunch of bundled plugins that we all know in it. It's like Revolution Slider, there's Gravity Forms, Advanced Custom Fields, there's a bunch of them. And if you're using any of them, when you update the theme, there's a way inside the theme panel to update those. But the only plugin that's associated with Astra is the Astra Pro theme, and that would be in the plugin. So when I update Astra, I go ahead and update the Astra Pro too. So I update now. Okay, I'm going to close that. I'm going to close out this tab. I'll explain why in a second. Now we have to clear, and depending on your system, there's 3 kinds of caches you may have to clear. Server cache of some plugins you might be running that cache things like auto optimize, which I still have on a few sites, and then your browser cache. So first we're going to clear the server cache, and do that here in WP Engine just by clear all caches. And in WP Engine, you have to wait 5 minutes between times you clear the caches. I guess they just don't want people going clear, and loading up their servers. You have to wait 5 minutes. So I've cleared the server cache. I don't have any plugins, caching plugins, but I'm going to clear my browser cache, and I'm running Chrome. So on Chrome, now I'm on a Mac. So to do that, I just hit Command Y. I'm not sure, but it probably is Control Y, but I'm going to hit Command Y, and I'm going to hit clear browsing data, and I'm just going to have cached images and files checked, and I'm going to say clear data. And that's done. Go back here. Okay, now after I've updated the theme and its associated plugin, and I've cleared all the caches, now I'm going to go look at the site and see what it looks like. Make sure that, and this is a fairly simple site. Some sites that are very involved take a while to go through. So I just take a look around and see if everything seems to be behaving properly. Usually, if there's an issue with updating a theme, you'll be able to tell right away. And I'm just going to take a look at some of the pages. There's no particularly advanced functionality on this. Let's see. Okay, it's looking good. And we got these videos, and you can see that YouTube, these videos are set to lazy load, so it doesn't take up about a bunch of time loading. And FAQs contact, let's see what we got here. Okay, so we're in good shape, I think. So now let's take a look at the plugins. What is this? Oh, okay. That over there. Now we're going to go to plugins. Okay, so we're going to do plugins. And before I start messing with the plugins, I'm going to do another backup. And why do I do 2 backups? One in front to do the themes and one for plugins. Well, if I went ahead and updated the theme and then updated the plugins and then went back and something was broken, I wouldn't know if it was the theme update that broke them or the plugin update that broke it. So I'd have to go back, start all over again. So this just narrows it down. So if after I update the plugins, then, and there's an issue, I know it was a plugin, probably not the theme, because I already checked it after the theme. So I do 2 backups, one before the theme, one before the plugins. Oops. And we'll wait for the email to come in that tells me that it's been updated. And I think I just heard it ding. Okay, that was pretty quick. So now we can go to plugins. Now, as I mentioned before, what I do, and later after we're done, we could talk about if you have some different strategies about some of these things. Be more than happy to hear what you have to say. I update non-Elementor related plugins first. So I update that. Okay, Elementor Pro Gravity Forms. I love Gravity Forms. I got lucky. I signed up for Gravity Forms years ago, and I think and got grandfathered in. So now I don't know what Gravity Forms cost, but now I just pay unlimited sites, and I pay $100 a year. I got really lucky, and that's an add-on for Elementor, so I won't touch that right now. I'm not going to touch that, and then I'm going to update the Yoast SEO plugin. Okay, now I'm going to start updating the ultimate add-ons for Elementor. You may wonder, why do I care about doing that? Well, partly is if I were to update, let's see, how would I put this? By me updating these supplemental plugins, they're pretty compatible with previous versions of Elementor, so it's not going to break anything. But if I updated Elementor first, it very well could possibly break these. At least that they're things that they're handling, they could break. So I do the supplementals first. So we're going to update ultimate add-ons for Elementor. And then the plus add-ons for Elementor. And then, so we have then we're left with Elementor and Elementor Pro. Now I update Elementor first. And then once I've done that, then I'll update Elementor Pro. Now, let's see what happens, and I'll tell you what can sometimes happen if it doesn't happen. Yep. I see this about 80% of the time. I talked to Verity, one of the guys that is part of the people who work at Elementor. I don't know what his title is today, about a year and a half ago. And he said, well, the database hasn't been updated, and it didn't make any sense. But I see this about 80% of the times. And what I just have to do is I have to go back to the dashboard updates. And see, now it appears. Sometimes I'll have to click check again, and it'll appear, and then check again, and so on and so forth. And once it appears here, I just a preference, it doesn't really matter. I like to update them from inside the plugin section. So I'll update Elementor Pro now.
Now, I noticed you had both Elementor and Elementor Pro activated. Is there any risk of conflict having both at once, or?
No, actually, Elementor Pro won't work without Elementor.
Ah,
It's
That's
Elementor
why I'm
sort
here
of
tonight.
base, and Elementor Pro is like
Has all the goodies.
the juice.
good, excellent.
And Elementor's free, and Elementor Pro you have to pay for. So
Right.
That's the supercharger.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well, the Elementor Pro has the theme builder and all of the forms and the pop-ups and WooCommerce capabilities.
Yeah.
Your Elementor plain doesn't have any of that.
yeah, it's. I mean, you can build websites with just Elementor, but not the kind of websites my clients like. So, okay, so we have updated all the plugins now. So we're going to go back to clear our cache again. So we clear the server cache. If we had a plugin that cached, like there's a million of them. One of the plugins that I use on some sites auto optimize it as cache, so I would have to clear that. Like yeah, so I've done that. Server cache. Now to clear the browser cache on Chrome, I'm hitting Command Y on a Mac. As I said, very more than likely on a PC, it's Control Y. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Control is Windows, Command is Mac. It's the same button.
But I'm wondering if the second part, the Y, is the same on PC.
Oh.
Sometimes operating systems have keyboard commands. Oh, you know what I did? I still had this window open. Bad. So what I need to do is I need to clear the cache.
browser cache.
So hit Command Y.
Control Y is not doing anything on my Windows computer.
Well,
Okay.
it doesn't. You have, if you're using Chrome, you have to go into Chrome to do your browser cache.
Yeah, it's for it's just for Chrome. It's not for the whole computer. No. Okay, so now
I know. But what is Control F5? That's what I've been using.
I mean Control F1,
No, I mean F5.
F5. I
Yes,
don't.
No, but well, that's kind of like a refresh. It doesn't really clear your cache, your browser cache. It just kind of refreshes the
It's
browser.
a hard reload.
Yeah, like a
F5
hard reset.
F5 alone does that, but Control F5 seems to clear the cache.
Cool. All right.
Oh wow.
Is Control F5 Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, so let's go back to the site and see if everything looks okay. All righty. So far, so good. It loads a little slower than it might initially because the cache has been cleared, so everything's having to be reloaded. Let's see here. Looks pretty good. Let's see what a post looks like. Okay. And then I think we're in good shape. Okay. And yeah, I think we're okay. Let's see what we got here. Those work. Okay. Oops. I don't know where I'm going. Oh, here we go. Okay. So let's take a look at the back end. Dashboard updates. Updates. We got the latest version of WordPress. We've got our plugins update theme, so we're good. And sometimes on Elementor Pro, and Elementor, you'll see a message up here that says the database is still updating, or taking a while to update. If you click here to do it now, you can choose to do that or not, but logic dictates that it's probably going to work better when it's finished updating. So you probably want to get it, help it along to finish if it hadn't. So okay, so that's excuse me, updating the theme and plugins. And now we're going to talk about images. And let's see, what did I decide we were going to do about that?
So Carrie, this is Sharon. I came in a little late, so I was just wondering, was there a certain order that you were doing that in
Which thing?
to update your themes and plugins?
Yeah, I talked about it. I always, well, first of all, I tried to stress as much as possible, always run a backup.
Yeah, I got that part, but I didn't. I'm not sure if you did an order of do you do your plugins updates first and then your themes, or which order
I do the theme first, and any associated plugins with the theme. As I'm sure through your experience, that there are some themes have bundled plugins, and I help maintain websites that I didn't build, and I do work for marketing firms, and some of their websites are the ones that they have inherited or took on clients. They're using all kinds of themes, and usually they'll have a few bundled plugins that come with the theme, and you have to update those. So I do those first, do the theme and any associated plugins. I run a backup before I do that. Then I update the theme and associated plugins, and then I clear server cache, clear cache from any plugins that do caching, and I clear the browser cache, and making sure I don't have the page open to the site, which I had done just a second ago, and then got all the cache cleared out, and then I go back and check it. Then I go in and do another backup for plugins, and for update before I update the plugins, and then I go through, and then the order there, you've probably heard me talk about that.
Yeah.
About the order of Elementor related plugins. It's just something that seems to make sense to me and has worked for me. So
the reason why I was asking, because when I started researching the order of updating, when it involves WordPress core and plugins and themes, is that the order that you should do that in is that you first update your WordPress core, and then you update your plugins, and then your theme last. I forget the reason why they said that was the best order, but I found this out because of working with WooCommerce. There was a specific order of updating things in WooCommerce, so I kind of just learned that order and kept it that way. So I might have to do some research to tell you why they recommend that, but that's what I learned.
Okay, well, that's cool. I mean, that's why we do this. And if you can find the reason, what
I'm looking in my notebook.
just drop me an email or a note, and because I'd be interested to know. I haven't really run into many problems, but I'm not as big into WooCommerce like you are, so it might be as specific to that. So
Carrie, can you share with Sharon your logic on why you do the plugins? I'm sorry, the theme first before the plugins? She wasn't on when you had explained it to us, so.
well, the order was more important as it related to the plugins. The theme, I don't know that I have a particular.
You had mentioned about how updating the plugins, because plugins have to jive basically with the theme. So you needed the plugins to be in their most updated state before you brought the theme in.
Well,
Yeah,
the plugins that are related to the theme,
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, but just
Yeah.
like
I get that logic, but you have to, so I did find my notes, and the reason why they want you to do your plugins before your theme is exactly what you're just saying, Brian and Carrie, is because you want to make sure your plugins are up to date before you update your theme. Because the theme is going to be, or excuse me, the theme is going to have all the latest updates.
right, and it probably depends on the theme.
Yeah.
Like with
Well, yeah,
I use
Elementor,
Astra, and
yeah,
I can update Astra Pro before I update Astra. There, as I think I mentioned early on when we first started tonight, before I started working in Elementor, I built a lot of websites using the Avada theme,
mhm,
and it has a lot of add-on plugins.
Yeah.
Not one, not you don't have to. I think there's only two you have to use. One's the core and one's the builder. But they have, they've got a good selection of things like advanced custom fields, the events calendar, slider revolution, which I don't use anymore. But and so anyway, you can't. It's hard to update those because they're integrated into Avada. It's hard to update those first. I mean, you might. I don't know. I don't know if you break the site temporarily, but if you updated those first, Avada is the previous version of Avada may not talk very well to the new version of those plugins. So, but anyway, but I hear what you're saying, Sharon.
Well, actually, I just found my notes on the WooCommerce one. So WooCommerce, anybody that does work with WooCommerce, it is a bit different. So I'm going to give you this order, and I'll put it in the chat too. So
Okay.
Thanks,
and
Sharon.
we all know you do the backup, so I'm going to skip that part. So,
Right.
so with WooCommerce, this is the order that you update. You update the extensions, like for instance, if you have a shipping extension for WooCommerce, that's called a WooCommerce extension. So you do all of your WooCommerce, or sorry, all of your extensions for WooCommerce first. Then you update your WooCommerce to the latest stable version. Then you update your WordPress to the current version. And then after that, you update your theme to the current version. So this is the order that WooCommerce recommends that you do your updates.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah. Actually, I have built. I shy away from WooCommerce. And I think, thank God there are people in the world like you, Sharon, who help people with it. Because early on in my WordPress work, I built a site for a lady who had an Etsy store, and she thought she could do more with a WordPress site, and her daughter paid to have a WooCommerce store built, and she sold quilting fabric, like, I don't know if anybody's
Yeah, yeah,
familiar
no,
with quilting, like fat quarters and that kind of thing.
yeah,
That's what she sold, and she had like almost 300 products on her website.
Mm,
And I set up like the initial 12, and then I did a little video showing her how to set them up. But then she was on her own after that. And after about 2 years, she got back with me and said that she didn't want to, she was going to go just do Etsy again because she found it WooCommerce too much work to maintain. And so, I wasn't much help back then because I didn't a whole lot. I knew how enough to build it, but I wasn't an expert. And the only thing that I don't have any customer sites that have WooCommerce. I have WooCommerce on my site, but it's only used for recurring revenue type stuff like hosting, care plans, that kind of thing.
mhm,
And so I think the two, you didn't use the word extension, you used something else, Sharon, for WooCommerce.
for,
The add-on plugins.
yeah, for like if you have shipping extensions
Yeah.
and, yep.
Oh,
they're
it
plugins,
is.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
the Stripe gateway and
Yeah.
the subscription,
Yeah, that
which
would be
costs
considered.
$200 a year.
Yes, yeah.
And 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 you don't get it cheaper after sometimes you pay for a lot of the plugins, you pay
Oh my God, there's.
$200 for the first year, and then after that it's the price goes
little
down to
cheaper.
$200 a year. And I'm next time it comes up for that, I might think about doing it a different way. But so anyway, that's
Yeah, I put the instructions in the chat for anybody. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Carrie.
no,
I
that's
needed to know.
that's great. Let's see here. Let me get back to sharing the screen. Where am I? Okay. Did I share the right screen? You see my mouse moving?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. But I
Okay.
think you have your whole screen. I think you just want to focus on your.
Yeah. Let me that should be, there we go. Okay. So now we're going to talk about images. And the ultimate goal of optimizing your images is to make them have them in such a way that they take up as little bandwidth as possible when you load the site. As few kilobytes as possible. And of course people have gotten, I'm not sure, complacent, I think, about that in the last 5 years or so, because everybody has such fast internet. But back in the day when I first started in 1998, 97, something like that, everybody was on dial-up and 56K modems, and I had started working with a startup web development company, and these are some engineers or guys from Georgia Tech, and man, they want me to squeeze every kilobyte out of an image. If I had it, if I'd created animated GIFs were big back then, and I created an animated GIF banner or something, and it was 15 kilobytes. He says, "Man, that's too big. Hell, 15 kilobytes is nothing today." But images can get out of hand, and now with Google, page speed insights and having page speed as a ranking factor on how you rank in Google search, it's become more important than it was. And so you want to have as good a quality image as you can, and its file size, you want it to be as small as you can get it reasonably. So there's two things to consider. There's the actual image dimensions, how big is it pixel wise, and then what's the file format. And so we're going to take a look at that. And as far as the file format goes, what Google has been pushing for lately is this new image format called WebP, sort of a next generation image format. In fact, if you go through PageSpeed Insights, I think it will actually comment on that if you don't have WebP images, that you're not using the next generation images. I don't remember the wording exactly, but it's something like that. And it actually can reduce the size quite a bit of your images. And it supports transparent pixels, so you can have a PNG image that has a transparent background, and you can do it to a WebP. You can do JPEGs to a WebP. So Google likes WebP images. So let's take a look at our little friend here. I'm going to take this background image, this girl reading her laptop. I'm going to right click on this area, this section, and I'm going to go inspect. And if I go over here, okay, I can see in here that the image is, at least in the way it's on the page, is 1504. You'll see it up here, 1504 by 800. But I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to right click that and open it in a new tab. And of course, we can see that it's much bigger than that. But it's that big. You think, God, that's way too big. Well, it depends, because we're looking at right now. Well, let's see, let's go here. This screen width that we're looking at now is about 1,471 pixels, about 1,400 pixels. My monitor is 5,000 pixels wide. Of course, it's 144 pixels per inch, but still, there are some big monitors out there. And then, we have to think about building websites for phones with, that are only 320 pixels wide, and big screen 4K TVs, because people look on the internet with their TVs, believe it or not. So I'm not going to make a 4K image, but there's just so many different sizes. So anyway, so this image kind of has to natively be pretty good size. So I'm not going to change the size of this one, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to download it, save it to my computer, to my desktop. And then I'm going to go to a website called Bulk Size Photos, Resize Photos, Bulk Size Photos. I'll put that link in chat. And let's see, where the heck is that chat? Where's the chat? Okay, let's put the link to that in there. So I'm going to choose my image, and now I let it be this way. When you first come into this site, it will say scale image to 100 and image format WebP. But after you do one conversion, I don't know why, it shows 50% to JPEG. So we have to go back and change it. I want a WebP image, and I'm going to bump it down to 75 because it's still in the green there. And I'm going to hit start. Oh, and I'm going to download it. And we can see that it went from 87.6 kilobytes to 71. So, you know, it's roughly from 90 to 70, 20, 15, 16%. And if you have a bunch of images on your website and you do this to all of them, it will add up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to edit this page with Elementor. And then I need to get my navigator open because my header is on top of this section. If you see it here, the header's up there because it's got a transparent background. So I'm going to go here. And that is this section here. So hero section. And let's see. And I'll go to style. And I'm going to change the image. So I'm going to click on this. And I don't really need an alt text on this because this is a background image, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to upload the new file. Update. And we'll look at the page. One thing too, I discovered by accident. I don't know, 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, something like that. I had looked in Photoshop some months ago, and they didn't have WebP support. And then I guess on one of the recent updates, they do. They have it now. So I don't need to use that bulk resizer because the latest version of Adobe Photoshop, you can save an image as WebP. So if you are a Photoshop user and have a current version, there you go. You can use that. So there we go. We got an image that's been optimized, and I don't really notice any degradation in quality. So you go through and do 100 images on your site. Now, one thing that I will point out, let's say if you might look at these images, they're not very big, but are they? Because let's see what happens when we change we're going to get down that now we're getting down to smaller size. Now, how much difference in size? So on a situation like this, I need to size this image. Let's see how big that is. That's about as big as it ever is going to be on this site. So I'm going to inspect that image. And I can see that it's right at that point, it's 627 pixels wide. So I need it to be a little bigger than that, but doesn't have to be a lot. So, and it looks like I made it 800 pixels. Probably could have got away with 700 pixels. But if I'm building the website and I didn't know any better, I might be fooled into thinking, well, this is only like 250, 300 pixels wide. I'll just do that. You need to find out where it's going to be its biggest and then make sure it looks good there. So this is when we get to the responsive nature of the web. So, and just as an example, I help with other websites for other people, and other people work on these websites. And I do work for a marketing firm. Let's see, what am I doing here? Why does that look weird? Okay, I don't know why. And they hire interns during the summertime to work, and but they're not properly trained, and they just tell them go do a blog post. So, like, show you what I'm talking about. There's this blog post, and it's ironic that it's about photos, because there's the image. There's the image that they loaded. A bit on the big side. So I'm gonna have to get with them and tell them, give them some guidance on how big to make their images, because there's no reason for it to be that big. So just that's why we go through and take a look at the biggest it's going to be, and then size it to that. And we want it to be a WebP. Let's see.
Do you have the where WordPress makes different sizes? Do you have that turned off?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When you upload an image to WordPress, it'll create a 150 by 150 and a 300 by 300, and I don't remember the other one.
Right. Well,
Plus the original size.
right. On this site, these two sites, or this site, no, because I built this,
Way back when.
well, isn't that long ago, but it was before the school year. Last year. It was last year sometime. But this year, I've started what you're talking about. I'll go into the, let me get out of this. What we're talking about is media. Today, I go in and make all these 0 and unclick that. And just make them all 0, because at least in my workflow and the what I do, I don't need any of these other sizes in it. Just fills up the database and takes up storage. And with with WP Engine have quite a lot of storage and stuff, but there's don't need it. So yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
I've got that going on too. I've got a website for an auto detail shop,
Mhm.
and they upload lots of pictures when they do a post.
Oh, sure.
And I've got thousands of inodes on that site that I need to get down. And I've been looking for a plugin or something that would go in and check and see what images are not being used, so I could get rid of them.
You don't need to do that. You just need to clean up your database. I think it's called Advanced Database Cleaner, the plugin. And you could use that, and it will actually clean up your database for you and keep it more streamlined. Instead of looking for those images, it will find what it needs to compress your tables and such like that.
But WP Optimized does that too.
Yeah, but well, whatever you want to use, but I'm saying Advanced Database Cleaner would be your best option.
Is that a free or paid plugin, Sharon?
I think there's both. Let me double check, but
And I'll just look it up here. What's it called?
Advanced Database Cleaner. I think it's more recommended for WooCommerce people, but yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, see, transients are more for WooCommerce people, but
Yeah.
if you have your revisions, then it does optimize your database for a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Now, one of the
But
good
my-
things about WP Engine is doesn't allow it automatically deletes it. You just don't have revisions. I can't believe and I'm surprised sometimes when I go, because as I mentioned, I work on other people's websites that somebody else built on a different host, and I'll go in to look at a page that they need something done on, and I'll see that it'll show 114 revisions.
Oh my God.
It'll be like there's 114 versions of this page. Their database has got to be like about to fall over.
Yeah.
Size. So
Karen,
My concern though is I still have, it's like 7 or 8 different sizes for each image uploaded. And I know that's taking up lots of file space that I don't need to use.
do you need the 7 different sizes?
No,
Yeah, then definitely knock all those things to 0 if that's where it's coming from, but you still would have a bunch of them already in there, is what you're saying.
yes,
So well, so Sharon, what you're saying is this advanced database cleaner, if an image is not being used, I guess it's considered an orphaned item.
Yeah. Yes.
Then it will delete it.
We won't delete it. It does optimize it so that it's just strict. I don't know. I'm not a database person, but I just know it does help speed up things when your database is really crammed with a lot of clutter.
Right.
It does optimize it. And I have to say, I did this on my client that has a huge product database, which also has a lot of images.
Right.
And I ran this on it, even though we already have, the web host has a way to, do all that to clean up the transients and stuff. And I also have WP Rocket, all that stuff.
Right.
So I ran this one day when I was just trying to, clean up a bunch of stuff. And after I ran this, the site was so fast, I couldn't believe it. I was like, going, oh my God, this is better than.
Well, I'm
hey
gonna
Karen, I have a question for you about that. Right under that one, there was another one that said reset. Did you ever have to use that?
What, WP Reset? I didn't see.
The advanced cleaner.
I'll show it to you.
Yeah, can you show that? Let me see. I don't think so.
It just
Yeah,
caught
I
up.
have.
The author had another product right below it called WP Advanced WP Reset.
Right.
This one here.
Oh, that's
Yep.
WordPress Reset. Okay, so I have used WordPress Reset. I haven't used the advanced one, but this what the reset does, I'm surprised you guys haven't done this. I mean, I've done this a million times.
Really?
Me too.
But yeah, if you like have a test, like I do a lot of tests, builds or whatever,
Right.
you can use this reset plugin to just, instead of, rebuilding the WordPress, you can use this reset plugin to just clean up your build, and it goes back to whatever you don't want. Like you can check off, like if you want to keep the plugins, but you don't want to keep the theme or whatever, you can check what you want to keep. And I think there's a pro version to this, the 2, that allows you to do a lot more.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Thank you.
Good to know. Okay. And
I put the link for the advanced database. There is a pro version for that. Because as you know, the basics only give you so many limitations to work with, but the pro version gives you a little bit more. And I do believe that's what I bought for my client.
okay. Now when you when you have premium plugins that are needed for websites you build, do you build that into the price of the website, or do you charge them for it, or do you?
So yes, originally, at the beginning, when I know what I need to, if they're premium, I do include that in the price of the website, but obviously they have to be paid for year to year, right? So if they sign up with me for monthly basics, it's covered.
Right.
But if they don't, then I charge them annually for, all the premium plugins I use on their website. I send them an annual bill.
Yeah. Well, I do something like that. There's I don't know, 6 or 8 plugins that are paid plugins that I use on almost every website. Well, I use advanced custom fields a lot. I use gravity forms on every website, just about. Obviously, Elementor Pro and 3 or 4 Elementor add-on plugins, and then there's a couple of others. I don't charge them for those if they're on a maintenance plan,
Yeah,
and I tell them up front, but if they decide they don't want the maintenance plan, then they're going to have to buy their own license. So
yeah.
so,
Yeah, I try to make it easy for them. Like, I don't know what kind of clients you have, but somehow I get a lot of clients that just don't understand the nuances of what goes behind creating a website, and they don't care.
right.
They don't
I just
care.
want it to work.
Yeah, they just want it to work. So I handhold a lot of them just because of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a guy in California that could care less. He just wants it to work. And I send him a bill. I say, okay, it's time to renew all of your licenses. But because he can't afford to keep me monthly at the rate that I charge, but he can afford to pay for the licenses.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple of clients like that. Wish I had more.
Yeah,
They don't really care how much it costs. They just do what give them what they want. They don't care how much it costs.
yeah.
Now, Sharon, just so I could understand you correctly, you charge them a portion of your unlimited license, or is it like Carrie said, they have their own specific license that you manage and then charge them for it?
So if they're not on my monthly plan,
Mhm.
like I have a monthly maintenance care plan,
Right.
Mhm.
if they're not on it, then I have I guess what you could call it a subscription or whatever for each client. I just annually bill them for their plugins so that I know that they paid for their plugins. Now, if it's like Elementor Pro, I just charge them even though I get it for free, I charge them the one site license thing. So I don't charge them for my expert level Elementor Pro.
Gotcha.
So and yeah, I do have some licenses that are unlimited, but I just charge them what would be the base cost for one site.
Yeah, what the going rate is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. So I see something in comments from WB. Will we have another meeting on Elementor? Yes, we have a meeting on Elementor every month. We try to have it on the 4th Thursday of the month, like today. Sometimes holidays and life interferes, but no, we try to do them every month. So just if you're, I guess now that you're a member of this particular meetup, you'll get emails telling you when there's new the next meetup. So all righty, well, I think I covered most of what I wanted to. We've got time for any kind of questions, any challenges you had, or anything new and interesting you've learned.
Carrie, did you mention how frequently you do that process? That's my first question. And then the second would be, how long does it take with your book of business?
Well, I don't do it all at one time because I don't have that ever have that big a block of time to devote to, just unless I'm building a website, and then I'm getting paid for it, getting paid enough to make it worth my while. I for that marketing firm I told you about, I think I have 14 websites that I do for them. And I try to do them about the middle of the month, about the 15th.
So monthly,
Do it monthly. Yeah. And then I also, one other thing I meant to show y'all. Thank you for asking, Brian. This I had forgotten about this. Let's see here. Share my screen. I also use Manage WP for a couple of things. If they're on a maintenance plan, I'll use this just so I can generate a report. Telling how many plugins have been updated and all that kind of stuff. But I also discovered recently, because up until ever since I've been with WP Engine, if there's a security vulnerability, I'll get an email from WP Engine saying, "Hey, man, you got plugins that have, there's a security bug in it. You need to get it fixed." But WP Engine is wary of letting the cat out of the bag until it's been fixed, or too early. I discovered, of course, Managed WP is owned by GoDaddy, and you see these little things down here. Those are warnings that there's a vulnerability in the plugin. Now, I'm not going to touch these because these particular clients have put their account on hold because they're the marketing firm is who they're working with, and they've decided
get off of her.
So I'm not going to fix it if I'm not going to get paid. That's kind of hateful, but that's the way it is.
No, that's not hateful.
Sounds like business to me.
That's business, yeah.
So anyway, that's a cool thing. I will get notified before I will this way faster than I will with WP Engine, and that's to me is kind of important because if the sooner I am informed there's a problem, the sooner I can fix it, and the sooner I don't potentially have to deal with having to fix it after the fact. So, which is always harder than just updating the plugin. So,
yeah, and I'm so glad you brought up Managed WP because it's my favorite tool. But I also want to add, I was watching, you were doing a lot of your backups, and I don't know how much space you have with WP Engine, and everybody is different, but because I also have that ability to do manual backups on Nexus as well. But I use WP Engine to do certain backups. I mean, sorry, I'm not
Manage
WP to do
Right.
certain backups because one, I can manage WP, I can set it up again, I can bill my client for them because now I'm using my storage space, but it's not really mine because I can set it on Managed WP to where it's in the cloud somewhere.
right.
Because one of my clients who, actually all of my clients are WooCommerce, and the servers like WP, well, I don't know about WP Engine, but Nexus only does weekly backups, whereas a WooCommerce site needs to be done hourly. So those are a lot of backups. And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, because you have customers are buying constantly. Weekly backup isn't going to do. You need the most recent backup if something goes wrong. And
Hourly might not be good enough.
Sorry, who said?
Hourly might not be often enough.
Well, it's good enough to where you're going to get, what you're going to, if something goes wrong, you're at least going to get the last hour.
Right.
So,
Well, with WP Engine, they automatically do a daily backup every day.
well, it doesn't automatic. Oh, sorry, not WP Engine. I'm sorry. I'm still on
Managed.
WP. So you
Yeah.
can schedule Managed WP to do that. But yes, like Nexus does a daily backup too. And then
Yeah.
if you have your website, backing up. But where I was going with all this, the space might not be there on your host to do those backups. So that's one of the key reasons why I love Managed WP, because I can I can do those extra backups and feel comfortable, and I'm not getting charged for extra space on the server.
Right. Well, I'm not sure if you just had a single site account with WP Engine, they might have a limit.
I'll manage WP. No, so if you look, do you set yours up to do backups?
No, because all these are on WP Engine, and they're backed up every day. And of course, as I do on-demand backups when I do updates, but
Yeah. Well, if you look,
I have what they call a scale account.
Mhm.
So I don't have
Oh, you did one of
limits.
those, yeah,
I don't have any limits, but that I'm aware of
yeah,
on backups,
yeah.
and I've been with them now for 10 years, and I've never heard them say, "Hey, man, you're doing too many backups."
But with
So
the scaled accounts,
schedule
that's kind of
manage
like the, I'm sorry. go ahead.
WP to do backups every hour.
Yeah, if you go, like, just go into one of your websites to your dashboard.
This one,
Yes.
okay,
And then, let's see, go on the left-hand side, you see backups as your first option under dashboard.
yeah,
Yeah. And see, so you can activate it, and there is a chart. Well, you could, if you go ahead and activate the backups, just, you can change this after you do it, but activate your backups. And then you could turn the free one on, but so that. And then see, you get to choose your storage regions. And then you can also, include or exclude anything. So just go ahead and activate this, because I just want to show you the settings.
okay,
Okay, and then close that. And then here's your settings. You can do monthly, weekly, daily, every 12 hours, every 6, every hour. And then there is once you go past the monthly, there is a price charge. So, but it's very minimal. I mean, I barely pay $20 a month for my managed WP with all the clients I have on there. So, again, that's again the charges that I offset to my clients if I'm doing something like that. But it's a service I provide.
And I'm assuming you can set where the backups are stored, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Dropbox or
Yeah, on that storage region, you can do that. Or you can send it to your own cloud server, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
It's $6 a month for an hourly backup. Doesn't sound crazy at all,
No, and
if I read that correctly.
Yeah, that's what it said.
but it's just estimating. So,
Yeah.
like for instance, so that's just one client, right? But the $6 for a month of backups, I mean, for hourly backups, that's nothing.
No, I'm surprised. And that's a full backup, database, files.
Yes. Yeah, you can change. See, you have the include, exclude. You can change anything you want.
Right.
Whether you want to include it all or not. You can set it to do FTP. You can, whatever. But it's very convenient, at least for me, because at least
Sure. Yeah, in your case, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not using the server space because, again, I do charge that individually to my clients, and I try to keep that very, very separate, because that is a separate charge. So, but like all these services that you see here on if you go back to the dashboard for that one person, I think it was the Duluth Fall.
Oh,
So you can see on the left-hand side, you have the ability to set up your backups. You can check all your plugins, your themes here. You can check their links. The link monitor will monitor any broken links.
Yeah.
Security, it will check the security for you, and performance and uptime. I have most of this turned on for all of my clients, and then this generates a monthly report for my clients,
Mhm.
and I send that to my clients every month so they can see.
But that's only for people who are on a maintenance plan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I do that too. I do the I don't remember. Let's go back and look. Uptime monitoring, link monitoring. I don't do the security one because WP Engine's pretty much got that covered.
But it'll let you add it to your report and show them that it's been done.
Yeah, that's exactly. It doesn't matter that WP Engine does it for you. Your client's not going to know that.
right,
But
right,
if
right.
I set it up here and show them that the security has been checked, it's clean, and there's no vulnerabilities, your client's going to think, oh, wow, they're on the ball.
And there's a free
I might-
option on that,
I
but you have to
might,
go in and manually tell it to check.
I
Yeah.
might, let's see. I might, I might have that turned on. I do. I have link monitoring, security, uptime monitoring, client report set up.
Yeah.
Okay.
To use it.
Yeah.
It's a
and
good
then-
tool. I don't know how many people in here, use it. It's a very good tool, and it helps you, see if you have all your clients on here, it does help you see all your clients at once too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
And the other thing I like to see on this screen on the left-hand side, you see at the bottom where it has the WordPress versions and the PHP versions. You can also track which of your clients needs to be updated, like see your PHP 7.4, you have
Right.
5 of
right,
those. And if you check that, it will just show those
right,
5
right,
websites.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, see, and that way, I love this. I just love this. This is my favorite tool.
Well, it's good to get some insight and some validation because I have found it very useful. And
Yeah, I'm so
I don't-
disappointed that GoDaddy bought it, but they haven't messed it up yet, so I'm still glad.
Time, give them time.
well, I think they might have in the beginning.
Hmm,
Now, it's been a while since they bought it now.
yeah,
Are you familiar with Christina Rivera
yes,
with WP Care Market?
yeah,
This managed WP was a big part of her sort of game plan and what she taught people and how to about running a business, a recurring revenue business, but with care plans.
mhm,
I remember this has been probably 5 years ago or more. Her talking either on a podcast or somewhere that there were some issues that they've encountered with some problems since GoDaddy took over, but I haven't seen any. But I'm sure she's using it at scale. And I don't have all the websites I work on here, just the ones that I work on most of the time, and because some of them I built and the people don't need anything else. I'm sure you probably have had these, Sharon. I have websites that I built years ago that they've never made a change. I had somebody come back to me they had a website, a one-page website that I built in HTML in 2007, and they hadn't changed anything on it 16 years, and they wanted a new version. And I told them, well, I don't really do HTML websites anymore. And the minimum I told them what my minimum was for a WordPress website, and they balked at that.
they balked at you.
Yeah, and I tried to refer them to, I don't remember what I referred them to or who, but I have people that and then and then there are some people that I try to tell them you need to let me keep things updated, and they don't want to spend the money. And so we all know what's going to happen at some point. Their site's going to break, and and it's going to cost them more for me to fix it or rebuild it. I've had some sites that people have come to me with that it's so far out of date, you can't fix it.
That's a shame, that they build a website and not even care about it. And that, I don't know how you do it, but I've learned to convince my clients that it's an investment. And as an investment, you need to stay on top of it. It's not something you just build and forget.
Well, I think you build mostly WooCommerce, right?
Yes, mostly, yes.
Well, it's easier for those kind of clients to see that their website makes money.
Yeah.
If it's more of a marketing site, sometimes it's hard for people to see that.
Yeah, but how do they think that they're going to get to people if they build their site in 2000 and marketing is different now than in 2000?
Well, yeah, that's
They don't keep up with
well,
the
that's
changes.
just really, really strange. But anyway, I mean, there's all kinds. There's people that don't want to spend a lot of money, and they want you to do stuff for free, and we've all run into that, and you just have to say, no, I don't think so.
Oh, yes, y'all all need to give me a round of applause, because I can say tonight, the first night, I totally ignored a phone call and a text from my client.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Give me the applause, people. I can't believe I did that.
High five, Sharon.
Well, I mean, they call me. Well, I guess I don't have people do that very often.
Well, I do. I have it all the time, and I have been trying to. Everybody that knows me always says, Sharon, you're too nice. People are using you. I mean, and it's not really using me. It's just my heart just wants to help people. But there is a time where people cross the barriers, and some of my clients always cross the barrier, and the one today always crossed the barriers.
Well, yeah, I've had one kind of like that, and it kind of creeped me out because I felt like she was stalking me. She just called to talk, and it's like, I got work to do. I don't have time to
Yeah, I think there's a difference.
Clock's a ticking, clock's a ticking.
Yeah.
Let me ask something. I've been told, and I understand it, that the first best practice is a good host.
Yep.
And I've signed up with Bluehost, and they got me out of trouble once when an email thing was redirected to some, I want to say, GoDaddy property. Anyway, they cleaned it up for me. But I always hear about WP Engine and unsugar-coated. What is the best solution for hosting?
Well, I mean, I don't know that I'm qualified to say because I'm biased. Because
you're more qualified than I am, so that's why.
I mean, I've been using it for 10, maybe 12 years.
Too.
And
yeah, honestly, JB, you're going to get different opinions, but there's nothing wrong with, WP Engine is at the top of its game. It's like definitely recognized.
I like SiteGround.
Yeah, SiteGround is also recognized, but what you want to look for is a managed. You don't want to get what's called shared hosting.
right.
You always want to look for a managed hosting plan, whether it be for WordPress website or WooCommerce. The other route that you have is a VPS, which is a virtual private server. So it doesn't matter whether it's WP Engine, Nexus, or one of the top brands. Bluehost, to be honest, I started with Bluehost as well until I don't know, I forget, it was a long time ago, but I just moved from them because something happened and I couldn't afford for that to keep happening. But but they, like you said, they did get me out of a bind once, and they've been very good. And I don't really talk bad about them. I used them before. I've used a lot of different hosts, and I've just moved on to better services because I've learned, what I need to have for my clients. So I think it's just up to you to decide which one's going to be best for you and what the services you want to provide.
I think
Some
Sharon's
areas I'm
exactly
not a great
right.
decision maker. That's the problem.
Sharon, I think Sharon's exactly right. The key is it's managed and not just managed hosting, managed WordPress.
Yes, yeah,
Because like I mentioned earlier on this evening, I said, everybody that works at WP Engine is a WordPress geek. And when you have a problem, it's like that you can see them on the imagine them on the other end of the phone line going, "Ooh, a problem I get to work on." Oh, and they just love it. And so it's there. I love them. And if you have,
Backgrounds that way too.
yeah,
Yeah, they are.
Who is?
okay.
Yeah.
SiteGround.
I just
Trying
happened
Oh,
to
to find,
SiteGround. Yeah. Okay.
I just happened to find Nexus before I found out about WP Engine. So, but Nexus is also a really good, service provider as well. So, and I've worked with a lot of different ones. So it's, like I said, it's just going to be up to you and what you think is the service you're looking for and the value that you want to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.
you bet. Well, I want to respect everybody's time. It's 8:33. We're supposed to knock off at 8:30. And
Really, Carrie?
Mm.
yeah, it's getting close to my bedtime.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me.
Thank you
join
for
in
coming.
Okay,
And
John.
Appreciate it.
for people who may not have been to one of our meetups before, we obviously, well, I can stop it now. We record these, and we try to, in a timely manner, post them on a